The year is 1994. A small hall in New York is filled with nervousness and excitement. It's the semi-final of the famous World Blitz Chess Championship. Two of the world's best chess players are ready to face each other. VISHWANATHAN Anand versus ILYA SMRIN. The winner gets to play Garry Kasparov in the final. But something happens in this match that no one could have predicted. At just his fourth move, Anand, who is one of the fastest players in the world, freezes. The clock is ticking, but Anand refuses to move. Remember, this is Blitz. Time is the essence here, and it's passing. But Anand continues thinking and still doesn't move. The commentators are shocked. They have never seen Anand so uncertain.
I've never seen Anand so uncertain. It's incredible. He clearly is a bit off form. He better get back in form or he's going to be out of this competition.
Come on, Vish, you make a move.
Make a move. This is unbelievable. This is shocking.
And finally, this happens. When the game began, Anand had a total of 5 minutes. But just for this one move, Anand has spent a total of 1 minute 43 seconds. 35% of his time for just one move. That's massive. So how did this dramatic game end? Which grandmaster won? Before I dive into this game, let me set some context. In 1988, an 18-year-old prodigy became India's first chess grandmaster. His name, VISHWANATHAN Anand. And just 6 years later, he was going to come face to face with another chess grandmaster, ILYA SMRIN from Israel. Both of them sat under a banner that read World Blitz Chess Championship Semi-Final 1994. Now this was not their first match. In fact, just a few days back, they had played the same semi-final twice. And both of them had resulted in a draw. Now whenever such draws happen, the players play a match to break the tie. It's called the Armageddon. Think of it as a penalty shootout in football. This match is a do or die situation, and this has two distinct rules. One, the black side starts with less time than white. And two, even if the black side draws the game, it wins. And both these rules were in place when Vishy and SMRIN sat for their third and final match. A coin was tossed, SMRIN got white, Anand got black. Remember, this is the tiebreaker, the Armageddon. So the two special rules were applied. Anand on the black side was given 5 minutes, 1 minute less than SMRIN. But even if Anand drew the game, he would move to the final. The table was set, White's turn to move first. SMRIN opened with his favorite move, pawn to e4. Vishy moved his pawn to e5. Next came knight to f3 and then knight to f6. It was the Petrov defense, an opening Anand was famous for. He had used it in many big competitions and had won many games with it. So far, the match was going well for him. But next came SMRIN's pawn move to d4. Vishy's knight captured on e4 and SMRIN's knight captured on e5. Now this was a fairly rare move in the game, and it was exactly at this moment that Vishy stood still. His clock said 4 minutes 54 seconds. He was already almost 1 minute behind SMRIN, and in a game that moves so fast, this was a huge gap. But Anand maintained his calm and took his time. He was thinking about the move, but the clock kept ticking. Even for Vishy, who's known for being a calm player, this was unusual. It was only his fourth move. What was he going to play? The commentators were wondering the same. In fact, the commentary of this match is one of the most iconic commentaries of all time. It was unlike any other chess commentary that we expect.
This is unbelievable. This is shocking. I'm stunned to see it. He's thinking this long on this, the fourth move, analyzing what I do not know, but SMRIN has successfully thrown him off. This is completely ridiculous. He's putting himself into a deep, deep hole. He's finally made a move. I mean, could it have been that dramatic?
He took 1 minute and 43 seconds to play just one move, and after losing 35% of the time, finally he played his pawn to d6 and SMRIN moved his knight back to f3. At this moment, Anand was just left with 3 minutes 11 seconds, while SMRIN had almost 2 minutes 20 seconds more than him. He fought back by moving his pawn to d5. SMRIN brought his bishop to d3. The commentators were certain that Vishy had lost his form in the match, and that he would have to start whipping out some dangerous moves really fast. And our Tiger of Madras did just that. Anand moved his knight to c6. SMRIN castled. Anand brought his bishop to e7. SMRIN moved his pawn to c4. Vishy attacked the bishop. SMRIN saved it. Vishy moved his bishop to e6. SMRIN moved his knight to c3. Anand castled. SMRIN moved his bishop to e3 and Anand moved his bishop to f5. SMRIN finally activated his rook to c1. After thinking a little, Anand captured his pawn on c4 with his pawn. SMRIN captured it with his bishop. Anand moved his pawn to c6, restricting SMRIN's knight. SMRIN moved his other knight to e5. Anand's knight quickly captured on c3. This was captured by SMRIN's pawn. Then Anand played knight to d5, attacking SMRIN's bishop and pawn. SMRIN played queen to b3. It was exactly at this next move that Anand's magic got spread on the entire board. All the time that he had taken at the start paid off. He moved his pawn to f6, and he had assessed this situation brilliantly because SMRIN immediately moved his queen to b7 and captured the pawn. He might have thought that after Anand captures his knight on e5, he would capture Anand's pawn on c6 and eventually he would also take Anand's knight. But SMRIN hadn't thought of what Anand would play next. Bishop to e4. Now Anand's knight was defended and he was also a piece up. SMRIN must have been taken aback a little. He took some time to think about his next move. He captured the pawn on e5. He had now won 5 pawns. Anand played the king to h8 and SMRIN moved his bishop to d4. At this point, things were looking great for SMRIN. His 2 bishops were eyeing the black king, and even though he had 1 piece less, he did have 3 more pawns than Anand. Add to that his massive time advantage. But despite this, no one could stop Anand. After this point in the game, he played so fast that it was just unreal. All his moves were instant attacks. SMRIN had no chance. First, Anand attacked the queen. SMRIN defended. Anand attacked again. SMRIN moved his pawn. Instantly came another attack from Anand. SMRIN defended yet again. Next, Anand's rook captured the bishop on c4. This was captured back by SMRIN's queen. Anand then attacked the rook and queen together. SMRIN had to save his queen. Anand's next move was just brilliant. He did not capture the rook. Instead, Anand gave a check with his knight on e2. SMRIN's rook, bishop and king were all forked. SMRIN had to move his king to h1 and Anand simply captured the bishop on d4. At this point, the game became extremely thrilling. Anand just wanted to exchange as many pieces as he could because he was already 2 main pieces up. He played with all guns blazing. First, SMRIN captured Anand's knight. Anand then captured his rook in exchange for his bishop and also captured his pawn on d4. In just 28 moves, Anand had managed to exchange almost everything and he was up 1 piece. He was so fast that he still had 1 minute 52 seconds on his clock. This is where SMRIN committed a blunder. He played his pawn to f4 and after this blunder, Anand completely crushed him. He captured SMRIN's pawn on e5 with his queen, thereby sacrificing it. SMRIN couldn't capture the queen because then Anand would have checkmate on rook capture on f1. The game went on and after a couple of moves, Anand finally teased SMRIN with his queen. He must have predicted the exchange of queens because that's exactly what happened. And it worked out perfectly in favor of Anand. After the queens were off the board, SMRIN was now left with nothing to do. He could have maybe stalemated Anand, but even a draw would have meant a victory for the black side. So Anand was winning at this point. But still, SMRIN didn't give up. Maybe he thought that Anand would commit a blunder because he had less time. But that was just not in Vishy's nature. In just 19 seconds, Anand played 17 perfect moves. These 19 seconds were a brilliant display of Vishy's accurate skills. He moved his pieces without any second thought and showed the world why he was rightfully called the Lightning Kid. Ultimately, the Indian Grandmaster had the Israeli beat. SMRIN had to resign. Vishy brought his classical might to the Blitz board and the final was his to play.